always believed I was the smartest person in any room I walked into. 50 years of building a law firm from a single, rented office in downtown Chicago to one of the most respected practices in the Midwest. Will do that to a person. My name is Margaret Callahan. I'm 72 years old. People called me sharp, decisive, unshakable. What they didn't know was that every bit of that steel came from losing my daughter. I lost Claire 12 years ago. She was 23. A car accident on I-90 on a rainy Tuesday night. Brain dead within hours. And because Claire had registered as an organ donor. Something I didn't even know until the hospital handed me her paperwork. I had to say goodbye before I was ready. I never got to say no. It was her choice. I had to respect it. But God, it broke something in me that never fully healed. After that, I had my son, Daniel. That was enough. That had to be enough. So when Daniel told me he was bringing someone home, I didn't let myself get excited. Mom, just give her a chance. She's the most genuine person I've ever met. Daniel was always like that. Big heart, soft eyes, led by feeling. He became a paramedic, which said everything about him. It also meant he was exactly the kind of person who could fall for the wrong person for all the right reasons. The first time I met her was at a quiet bistro near Daniel's apartment in Lincoln Park. Her name was Savannah Reed. She was soft-spoken, polite, and visibly nervous. She grew up in a small town in rural Kentucky. Her parents ran a hardware store. She worked as a social worker at a nonprofit on the South Side. Nothing she said was wrong. But something nagged at me. When she reached across the table for her water glass, her sleeve pulled back just enough. Along the inside of her left forearm was a faint but unmistakable scar. Long, surgical. I didn't say anything, but I didn't forget it either. A week later, I asked my firm's private investigator to look into her. He came back with nothing criminal. But he mentioned that people who knew her from years back talked about a mysterious surgery she'd had as a teenager, a period where she'd disappeared from her hometown for months, and a sudden improvement in her financial situation around that time. Unverified. Rumor. He was careful to say that. I wasn't careful at all. The following Wednesday, I followed her. She took the red line north. I drove parallel, watching. She walked into a small coffee shop in Andersonville and sat down across from a man in his mid-50s. Neat gray blazer. Professional. They talked for a long time. He slid a manila envelope across the table. She took it. Then he handed her a small white pharmacy bag. She put that in her purse too. I sat in my car with my hands gripping the steering wheel. Then she left the coffee shop and took a bus further north. I followed. She got off near a cemetery. I watched her walk through the gate alone. She was inside for almost 40 minutes. When she came out, she wiped her eyes with the back of her hand. I told myself it was all connected. The man, the envelope, the pharmacy bag, the cemetery. I told myself I finally had my answer. I was wrong about everything. I arranged a family dinner at a private room in a restaurant in the Gold Coast. Daniel was happy. Savannah's parents drove up from Kentucky. I ordered a nice bottle of wine I had no intention of enjoying. Halfway through the meal, I reached into my handbag and placed a white envelope on the table. Savannah, I need to be direct with you. Daniel comes from something I've spent my life building. I have to protect that. I'm not sure you're the right fit for this family. She looked at me quietly. That envelope has a generous amount inside. I'm asking you to walk away. For everyone's sake. She looked at the envelope for a long moment. Then she slid it back toward me. Mrs. Callahan, I can't take that. What I feel for Daniel isn't something that has a price. And then she went pale. Her hand pressed flat against her chest. She gasped once, shallow and sharp, and collapsed forward into the table. The next 2 hours were a blur of sirens and fluorescent lights and Daniel screaming her name in an waiting room. The man from the coffee shop arrived at the hospital 20 minutes later. He walked straight to Daniel, and then he looked at me. You must be Margaret. I'm Drive. Alan Whitfield. I performed Savannah's heart transplant 13 years ago. The air left my body. The donor, he said carefully, was a young woman. 23 years old. Her name was Claire Callahan. I sat down on the floor of that hospital hallway. I didn't care how it looked. Savannah had been visiting Claire's grave every single month for years. The envelope was letters she'd written to The donor's family, hoping someday to deliver them. The pharmacy bag was her immunosuppressants. She had been carrying my daughter's heart this whole time. And I had tried to pay her to disappear. When Savannah was stable, I walked into her room and got down on my knees. I am so sorry. There is no excuse for what I did. She was quiet for a long time. Then she said, Mrs. Callahan, I've wanted to find Claire's family for years. I just never imagined it would happen like this. She reached out and took my hand. Claire had a generous heart. I always knew that. I just never understood how literally true it would turn out to be.